Welcome to Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, where rockets launch and inspiration begins. I'm Andrea Farmer with Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, and wanted to let you all know that this is the place where humankind first left Earth to explore the heavens. The mission of exploration is still alive, and it launches here. Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex offers a mix of thrilling attractions, breathtaking exhibits, interactive experiences, as well as larger-than-life space films. And Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex is close, just 45 minutes away from Orlando. Thank you, travel advisors, for all that you do to talk about Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex and the Central Florida area. We're glad you're here with us today. And today you'll be exploring the historic grounds of Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex with a few of our expert guides. John Zarella, former CNN correspondent. Emily Calandrelli, she's our space gal and host and executive producer of Emily's Wonder Lab on Netflix. And finally, Rebecca Shireman, public relations manager for Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex.
Hi, I'm John Zarella, and I'm here at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. And boy, if you're coming to spend a day with us, you'll probably need 2 days. There's so much to see. You've got the Space Shuttle Atlantis exhibit. You've got the shuttle launch experience, which gives you that real, genuine feeling of lifting off at the Kennedy Space Center launch pad. And there's the Apollo Saturn V Center, a real Saturn V moon rocket sitting on display. You have no idea how massive it is until you're standing underneath it. Okay, I'm excited. It's time to start my adventure. Remember, at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, we're always exploring, and that's what I'm gonna do right now.
That's right, John, and we're going to begin exploring here at Heroes and Legends featuring the U.S. Astronaut Hall of Fame. Just inside the front entrance, Heroes and Legends provides the background for space exploration and the legendary people who pioneered our journey into space. Through cutting-edge technology, engaging exhibits, and interactive elements, you'll be introduced to the heroes of NASA's space program.
Heroes and Legends is an immersive storytelling experience about those who first dared to bravely explore humanity's greatest frontier, space. Guests develop a whole new understanding and appreciation for NASA's pioneering astronauts, whose heroic qualities continue to inspire future generations. The stories from these brave explorers ignite the sparks of heroism within us all. Follow in their footsteps and discover why these men chose to launch into the great unknown. Not for themselves, not for their country, but for all of humanity.
The culminating exhibit of Heroes and Legends is the U.S. Astronaut Hall of Fame. Connect with the about 100 astronaut inductees at interactive kiosks that tell the story about each astronaut. Then don't forget the signature element of the experience, a special photo opportunity with one of the original Mercury 7 astronauts. Feeling inspired yet? Now it's time to explore the Rocket Garden with John Zarella to learn about the rockets of the early space program.
One of the most popular spots at the visitor complex is called the Rocket Garden, and that's where I am now. Why is it called the Rocket Garden? Well, everywhere you look, there are rockets. There's a Redstone rocket, there's an Atlas rocket, there's a Saturn 1B rocket, and there are space capsules all over this area. Now, I'm standing in front of a Redstone rocket. The Redstone rocket is the one that lifted astronaut Alan Shepard, the first American in space, on his suborbital flight. And just down there to the left, well, that's that Saturn 1B rocket I was talking about. That's the one that was used during the Apollo-Soyuz program, the Saturn 1B rocket. And over here on the other side, this is the Atlas rocket. The Atlas rocket was used to launch John Glenn on that first orbital flight, Friendship 7.
New to the iconic Rocket Garden is the Delta II. It is also an industry workhorse. This rocket launched more than 100 times from the Space Coast Launch Complex 17, just a few miles from here. And the Delta II rocket launched most of the Mars rovers that have explored the Red Planet. Behind us is a new attraction under construction, and it's set to open in early 2022. All of the attractions at the main visitor complex are open, and recently we just reopened the Apollo Saturn V Center. To get there, it's just a quick bus ride. We have limited transportation available at this time due to limited capacity on the buses, and you can make those arrangements for bus transportation on the morning of your visit. At the Apollo Saturn V Center, you find out all that happened in the days and months leading up to the Apollo moon missions. There's so much to see with interactive exhibits, and the feature is an actual Saturn V moon rocket, 363 feet long and one of only 3 remaining Saturn V rockets. For now, we just have travel to the Apollo Saturn V Center, but we hope in the coming months that we will be able to resume our Kennedy Space Center bus tours.
Hi, I'm Emily Calandrelli, and I'm excited to go behind the gates at Kennedy Space Center and experience the incredible achievements of NASA. I'm standing next to a real Mercury Redstone rocket. Our trip today will begin at the same Mercury Redstone and take us from the Apollo and Space Shuttle programs into current day activities at this multi-user spaceport into the exciting future of NASA. The work that's being done right this moment at Kennedy Space Center is bringing us closer to that next monumental achievement in space exploration. The world watched as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first people to walk on the moon. The achievement of the men and women who worked on the space program in these early decades of NASA helped propel the technology we use every day. NASA and the thriving private space industry at Kennedy Space Center today are the living legacy of their story. As we arrive at the Apollo Saturn V Center to learn more about that historic era, get ready to step back into a time when NASA had everything to prove to a nation focused on one goal: to be the first country to land a person on the moon.
Okay, so can you guess where I am now? That's right, this is the Apollo Saturn V Center, and behind me here, these are the real consoles in the firing room, in launch control. And here, they will take you through the countdown and the launch of Apollo 8 that went to the moon but didn't land. And now we're going to go out these doors, and you'll never guess what you're going to see over here. So now this is the centerpiece of the Apollo Saturn V Center. What's he talking about? Look up. Those are the F1 engines that powered the Saturn V moon rockets that took a dozen men to land on the moon. Of course, when the astronauts went to the moon, they didn't come back empty-handed. They brought back lunar samples. And so if you're here, you would expect, well, where's the lunar sample? So here is a real moon rock sample that you can touch. And this sample here was collected by astronaut Harrison Jack Schmitt right near the landing site of Apollo 17, which was the last of the moon missions. So we're inside the Apollo Treasures Gallery, and this, my friends, is a real Apollo treasure. It's the Apollo 14 command module. It was commanded by Alan Shepard and his crew, Stuart Roosa and Edgar Mitchell, on their trip to the moon. So it does look a little bit beat up, but what do you expect? It went to the moon and came back. For me, this is the crown jewel of any visit to the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. The Space Shuttle Atlantis. 33 trips into space, 126 million miles flown, 146 different astronauts had flown on board the Space Shuttle. This is Atlantis, and when people come in here and they take a look at this exhibit and they're standing so close to a vehicle that flew in space so many times and carried so many humans on missions to the International Space Station, to service the Hubble Space Telescope, it is awe-inspiring. Atlantis flew for the first time in 1985. Its last mission was in 2011 and marked the end of the Space Shuttle program. And now if you take a look inside, you can see that Atlantis is opened up, the cargo bay doors are opened up, and the shuttle is at a 43.21 degree angle. Nowhere else in the world is a shuttle displayed like this.
There's so much to see and learn in Space Shuttle Atlantis. It is an incredible tribute to NASA's Space Shuttle program. But here at the Visitor Complex, we like to explore the past, present, and future of the space program. So let's discover what's in store for the future here in Journey to Mars Explorers Wanted.
In Journey to Mars, discover about the many spacecraft that have landed on the Red Planet, from the oven-sized Sojourner rover to Spirit and Opportunity, which in the 2000s were destined for a 90-day mission that turned into several years. Spirit roamed the Red Planet for 6 years, and Opportunity kept going until 14 years. So amazing discoveries were made because of these incredible spacecraft. Also, launching in 2020 and landing in 2021, you can see a full-scale model of the Perseverance rover that is up there now to discover microbial life. You can also see a full-scale replica of Curiosity. And that rover was the size of a VW Beetle. New to Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex is Planet Play. And this is designed for the younger astronauts in mind, to come play among the planets and the stars. Here's where you can take a walk on the rings of Saturn, or take a black hole from Mercury to Pluto, and race rovers on Mars. There's lots for our younger explorers to do and see. For the well-being of our guests and our crew members, we have implemented protocols to ensure a trusted space when you visit Kennedy Space Center. That includes operating with limited admission, requiring face coverings for all guests 2 years and up, temperature screenings upon arrival, and plenty of hand sanitizing stations throughout the park. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We really appreciate everything you do, travel advisors, to make this place so special to so many people. We want to remind you that you can find out all about Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex through our tour operators and receptives. And don't forget, it's just a short drive from Orlando to enjoy a universe of space. Discover things like Space Shuttle Atlantis, the Apollo Moon program, our astronaut heroes and legends, what's new at Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, including Planet Play for the smaller kids in the family group, as well as discovering and rediscovering Kennedy Space Center and the history behind it, and the future of our exciting space program. Thanks again.